live streams. And I lost a lot of my audience this year by supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and, not understanding what all the upset was against it and support, and I lost audience in droves. And I started, having some conversations with people and really trying to figure out how to train myself to talk to people who were across the aisle now. And it's more difficult than it's ever been.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like Toad, because so many people thought that we came from a Christian background, I learned to have really deep and respectful conversations with people who had really different spiritual looks or belief systems, or people who were very conservative. And so I felt that was something I was actually skilled at. And the past few years have really brought me to my knees. It's been really humbling. And sometimes I feel like it's actually intractable. And so that's a big part of my work now, is feeling like, how do we talk about any across those? I started having, like, in these conversations, even just having, like, how about each of us, if we run up against a thing where it's not opinion anymore, but it's like, well, wait, factually, I'm having trouble with this. This is, like, just raise a hand rather than talking back and going, no, but, like, on either side, like, raise your hand where we're dealing with a different fact set, so we can, like, but then, and we do that, can we come back to, what do you want? I want a fair playing field. I want to feel safe in the world. I want people I love to be okay.
Yeah.
Even where to come apart, and just trying to get the conversation back there. But if it goes back to love, I feel like that's the only thing we can come back to these days.
Yeah. Well,
trust.
Whenever I'm discussing politics or religion, I've learned just to ask a question instead of making an assumption. Like, is this what you meant by this statement? Blah, blah, blah. And then a lot of times you find out you misunderstood what they said in the first place, and you open up that line of dialogue, and you're like, oh, well, we're not that far apart on what we're thinking.
Yeah, totally. I mean, because they get trained in my left bubble, to see intolerance, to see racism, to see, and I think, people I've met on right-wing bubble get, then training as to what liberals want.
Right.
And actually concerned about. And to break through that training and go, like, actually listen to me when I tell you what I care about. Not what I care about. And I'm going to do the same with you.
Yeah.
And that's once again where we start to understand. But it's never been this hard.
Yeah, I always like to say that we all have the same game plan, but a different playbook. I mean, essentially, I think like you said, most people want the same thing, just maybe not how to get there.
Well, and then when you get to those, like, once again, individual policies, if you explain a lot of, there's a lot of stuff, actually, if you go to the two-party system, always just trying to ruin each other, a lot of things we agree on. We want good roads. We want, we want fire department. We want, utilities that work. We want clean drinking water. It's like, we want fair play, a fair wage for a hard day's work. And, a hope that we can actually, if you do a hard day's work, that you can have enough, to get by with some degree of self-respect, Those things are not, they're not a problem. And you want to feel, honestly, I think left and right too, as much as, there's the socialized medicine fear. The idea, if you get sick, you don't want to have your life be dependent on how pretty your GoFundMe page is.
Right.
That's sick. That's their society.
Yeah.
And, so things like that, where, and the solution for how to get there, we have a lot of discussion, but I think once again, people coming from the left and right, having the discussions, that's what makes workable solutions. it's collaborative, and we don't collaborate anymore. So there's a lot of opportunity lost.
Well, I tend to get on everyone's nerves because I'm a libertarian, so it means I'm insufferable on the internet. But to me, it's like I can see validity on the left and the right, and of course my solution's different than theirs as well. But I think anyone that can be able just to kind of have your opinion, but also see the other side, I think we'll be a lot better off. You can't really have a debate if there's not two sides.
Nothing has two sides. I mean, and that's non-dualism as well.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, my best friend is a libertarian.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of fun going down and finding common ground.
Yeah.
I trust implicitly his goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
He trusts implicitly my goodwill.
Yeah.
And I think we have, and partially because of our experience, partially because of our philosophy, really different ways where we will extend our trust and where we will extend our skepticism. And I have more trust in the engines of government than in the engines of free enterprise.
Sure.
And everybody, can have their lists of any of that. And I just kind of default to that. It's like, I don't want to create a private system to do that with a profit motive.
Mm-hmm.
I want functioning government. I'm well aware government is broken. I want out for more when they go to government. I want efficiency. I want intelligence. I want it to be a pure service thing. And I know that's not how it all operates all the time. So I feel like I can get all his arguments, but I can't, anyway, we go back and forth on it. We have a really good time.
Yeah. It's fun, and I think the left and libertarian probably are closer just in terms of the social values, so they can probably relate on that, whereas probably more fiscally, they're more on the right, which that might be where you have your bigger issues with your buddy, I don't know, but...
Yeah, a lot of it is, once again, it's the gray area, right? Which are, questions, we can find common ground on infrastructure and certain things that we're like, yeah, I don't want private sector doing, right?
Right.
And there's some things that I think anybody would be afraid of to have done in the private sector. Policing, fire department. There's stuff like, where there's power involved, where it's like, you didn't pay your thing. It's like, you get to burn. Nobody wants. Private prisons, I think, are a really terrible idea.
Yeah.
You don't profit motive in there. And then the rest of it is kind of a discussion of, which could handle what more easily or more effectively. He's all about low taxes, but he knows you got to have some taxes because they pay for the stuff the government does do, and we do need that.
Right.
So once we'll get into particulars, but even on the particulars, we tend to just come around with modern society is really complex and difficult, and nobody's figured it out.
Yeah.
And intended consequences are everywhere. And as soon as you think you've solved one thing, I remember, Bill Clinton. And there was this, whole thing about CEO compensation, right? And he kind of turned the tables on, I forget what the deal was. It was meant to keep CEO compensation low, and it had completely the opposite effect. I wish I could remember this. Like, unintended consequences opened up CEOs for all kinds of sideline the idea was the CEO was supposed to be the boring job. It's long term. It stays with the company for a while, and the board is going to shift and do all these other things. And his re-regulation of how CEOs become had utterly the opposite effect of his intention.
Yeah.
And so, happened all the time. So, anyway, Glenn's talking.
It's all right. A few more questions. I know you've answered this because I've seen you answer it before, but as one of the questions people asked was, the name came from a Monty Python sketch, the Toad the Wet Sprocket name. Would you still name your band that as a 50-year-old man? If you started the band now, would you use the same name?
Oh, it's too late now, but no, not in a million years.
No.
But I'm both happy about it, proud of it. And once again, when we talk about nerd cred, Toad the Wet Sprocket, taken from a rare vinyl-only Monty Python sketch. It's got a lot of nerd cred.
It sure does, yeah. And then a lot of your songs are very introspective and personal, but some of them actually sound like maybe actual stories of things that have happened with you. Like, specifically, Is It For Me? I've wondered if that was a real event with your buddies, or if that was just something you made up, or...
Yeah, Is It For Me? Completely fictionalized.
Yeah.
Nothing in there. And most songs that are based on something real are a little bit fictionalized just for the purpose of, you'd rather have a song that works. A song like Don't Fade,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some stuff's just, especially from the earlier songs where it's just like we were writing a lot of songs all the time. It's like, just put something down, like Walk on the Ocean.
Yeah.
It was based loosely, like I'd recently gone up to the San Juan Islands. And we've gone to Doe Bay, and we're hanging out. It's, this kind of hippie resort with, these hot tubs that look over the ocean. I was thinking a little bit about that, but not really. It's just kind of loosely fictionalized. I don't know. There were, postcards, whatever, at the end of it. And I have no idea what the chorus is about. It was written in 15 minutes because Todd wrote the music, and it's like, just put some lyrics. Just go write something. Like, I wrote that in 15 minutes, then rewrite it, nothing better ever happened. And that one has persistent rumors. I think there's a Christian camp up there that supposedly it was about going there, but I went to Camp Judea, so it's not about...
Well, it's funny because I like to read, geniuslyrics.com if you ever go there, but reading people's interpretation of that song just cracks me up because I've heard you say that before, that, like, I wasn't really writing about anything in particular. I was just putting words down. But it is funny that you can write something and people get meaning out of it that you didn't even intend.
It's the great thing about music. I mean, that's how song works, and that's how poetry works. That's the beautiful thing,
Yeah.
And it's a combination of vagueness and specificity that will kind of, place you in the emotional truth of a situation, and emotion usually something even slightly ambivalent, and ambivalence gets used a lot. I think people use it meaning not caring, but ambivalence has to do with feeling ways about something contradictory.
Yeah.
I really want to see my friend again. It's been so long with COVID. I really don't hear him talk about Dave again, because man, when he gets into talking about Dave, it drives me crazy. But I really want to see him again.
Yeah.
It's like you feel two ways. You want to see it, you're dreading it a little, but you really want to, and I mean, so I think, songs place you in these complex emotional states, and you just need to be specific enough to kind of anchor somebody in a place and a narrative where they fill it in with their own experience and their own feelings. And once again, it contains that slight dissonance of feeling that I think makes things feel real.
Yeah.
You're almost never all one thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Ben Gibbard's one of my favorite songwriters. He's the same way. He's writing about specific things, but in a way that I can relate to, even if I didn't have that happen.
Yeah.
It's a trick to a good song, doing that.
That's why I don't write songs, why I feel like the songs that, age the worst with bands, and it's something I'm happy about with Toad, is I feel like, I'd write a bunch of it differently, but I feel like our songs have aged okay. But, if you're writing about a man or a band, gonna get the girl, gonna bring her home and who can relate to that? Who even wants to relate to that?
Right.
It's just like, I know some people do, but it's just like, I can relate more to 2112 or something that's just a totally fictionalized rock opera.
Yeah.
About rock bands singing about touring.
Well, everyone loves AC/DC, but it's like it doesn't really resonate. You listen to it, you have a good time, and you're like, all right, well, that's all over. So
it's great.
Yeah.
He's never trying to cry.
Yeah. I was telling my buddy, I'm like, I love them because every album's exactly the same. You can just play it and know what you're getting and have a good time. So.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a great band. And the thing about them as well, it's a different thing. For me, the situations, I like vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's nice when people are cheering. If I see someone in the audience start crying, like that for me means I won. That's like the night is to move some. I want them opened up and unembarrassed. And that's the job. You open up so that other people feel free to open up. In my case, that's the job.
Now, and kind of going on with that, kind of a two-part question is, are there any songs that you've written that you wish you had not recorded? And conversely, are there any songs you recorded that you have not performed live that you would like to or don't think would work live?
I've forgotten so many songs or not played or recorded. So many. I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah.
So the answer to the second half of the question is yes. But there's a lot of them.
Are there any that maybe you tried to play live that didn't maybe have the energy live you thought they might, and so you just stopped playing them?
Play live. There's like Little Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
That has such a huge vocal range.
Yeah.
And my throat over the years, I threw out my throat. I had to have surgery after the Fear tour. We played shows. All the songs were at the very top of my range, and I had completely shredded my vocal cords. So I'm very protective of my voice now.
Yeah.
So play a lot of songs lower and very careful about songs. Rare Bird is like that too. Rare Bird just has this crazy like octave switch. And Little Heaven is a combination of, there's a big octave switch, and there are these harmonies that kind of sit on sevenths, so if they're all flat, they're hideously sour. And me shredding my voice and the background vocals sounding sour, like anytime we try, we're just like, screw it, we can't pull it off. And songs I wish I hadn't written, I wish I'd gone about Hold Her Down in a different way, because it wasn't crystal clear. And part of that song, when it was written, it's kind of switching perspectives between perpetrator of a sexual assault and condemnation of sexual assault, and it's meant to be angering and disturbing, and it is disturbing. I think some women heard it wrong and thought it was instructional and were deeply upset about it, and that made me really bad. And there's also some idiot frat who, when the shows go, hold her down, play Hold Her Down. If I hear that, I'm playing that fucking song.
Yeah.
It just makes me want to do a little timeout.
It's almost like Polly, Nirvana's Polly, came out the same year. And Kurt Cobain said he had the same stuff happen, where like somebody actually perpetuated a sexual assault while singing Polly to this girl. So I don't know, that's kind of similar stories, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just, and it was written from, the experience of someone close to me who, that was written out, there was a period when I was, I don't know, probably just 20 years old, where you suddenly realize I don't think I knew a single woman not experienced some kind of sexual assault. Like, not one.
Yeah.
And, be it violent or just compulsion and having to feeling like they had to go along with something they didn't like, and that it's astonishing to realize that. And it was mostly centered around, a friend's experience that, was just absolute brutality. And I couldn't understand it or cope with it. There was a lot of discussion when that song was written as to whether it was okay. Like, did we have the right to do this? Was it too confusing? And we kept it, and at the end of the day, I know it's done people some good, and, we did a lot of work with RAINN, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, Tori Amos's 1-800 hotline, and, I hope it did more good than bad, but I don't know, I wish it had been clear, and then again, I'm the person who's saying, I want songs that are ambivalent.
Yeah.
I want an authentic feeling that's really disturbing, and to take on that topic in that way, I think was cathartic and healing for some people, but I think it sometimes had the opposite effect, and I regret that.
Sure.
So that one's hard for me.
Well, and one thing about that song, it's one of the few where he actually used profanity in it. Would you change that aspect as well, or do you think that pushed your point forward in that particular song?
I don't care about the profanity.
Yeah.
I think the basis of the song is so, and I'm a trash mouth, so, I don't know if it helped or hurt that element. I just think that the way the song was constructed, I mean, the thing is, if it wasn't constructed in that way, then it would be a pamphlet. And the problem about writing songs that are, based on deep and disturbing issues, or just based on complex issues, is, it's part of my problem with some of the later John Lennon stuff. Is I'm listening to a pamphlet instead of hearing a song. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All the right things. You're saying them decently well enough. And I know I'm never supposed to slag John Lennon because he's a mean. I get that too, and I love John Lennon's work. But, there's a thing of hearing, you hear some songs and you're like, yeah, that's about the right thing, but it doesn't move me. It's just telling me something I already know about the right thing. And I think the way you get actual change is by making somebody feel something around, and makes them inquisitive, or confuses them, or makes them ask something. And, that's what Older Now was as opposed to a song like One Little Girl, which is more just, this is how it is. We live in a patriarchal society and there's misogyny everywhere. It just kind of lays it out more. So in trying to kind of create that tension, I feel like I wrote a song that I'm not sure. I have very mixed feelings about it.
I was never confused by it, but I think part of that is understanding the bulk of your work. If you understand the rest of your work and where you're coming from, you just hear the song out of context, you might think one thing versus. That's why I'm an album guy. I don't listen to individual songs. I hear a whole album because it's a story. That song can work for that too.
I wouldn't have written this, but I mean, we're living in the age of crazy incel stuff and a kind of wild, the men's rights movement and stuff that is wildly over the top, where that song would be treated with no sense of irony, no sense of that tension, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thinking is frighteningly mainstream and out in the open at this point. In a way where to have done a song like that at that time too it would be unthinkable.
Yeah.
It would make you do a dog thing. And now it's unthinkable.
Yeah.
Right?
30 years ago.
In front of us. And it's scary how the trolling and hatefulness are just you see it. I mean, I was talking to some friends who work in retail recently, saying this year it's everybody's been living in line. It's a filter anymore. And just seeing the amount of rudeness, hostility, verbal violence just from they've been in the same store in the same town for years and years, and now what's kind of considered normal is social media has taken our dialogue down to its lowest common denominator, and are just just erasing it. Once again, I don't know what we do about that.
I don't want to keep you too much longer. I'm sure you got stuff to do today. I have a couple more questions if you don't mind.
Sure.
These ones are always hard when I ask them for artists, so feel free if you can't answer it. But do you have a favorite album and or top 3 or 4 favorite songs that you've written and performed that you're most proud of, or that you love performing, or anything in that regard?
I love Dulcinea.
Good choice. My favorite.
Yeah, I think Dulcinea is probably the best Toad record, but I think New Constellation is probably a close second.
That was a great album, yeah.
Proud of that record.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the last thing we just with.
Yeah.
It's always what it was. There's 3 perfect songs in the world. It's like Let It Be, Amazing Thing I Just Wrote.
Yeah. And when is that album out? Do you have a release date for that yet?
Probably near Labor Day.
Okay.
I mean, I love the last solo record, followed by the new. I feel is as far as a body of work, I think that's for me the most kind of important material, and that album, and it's made me happy to see, as much as commercially it doesn't even really exist, but the impact that those songs have had on people made me really happy. I feel like that, for people who are experiencing loss, whether it's divorce or the death of a loved one or big life change, I feel like that album has, for how few people it reached more of them more deeply than anything I've ever done. I'm really proud of it.
Well, good. And then Mutual Admiration Society. How did that come about? And would there be is that a one-off, or any plans to do something else with that?
The 4 of us getting together, that would be amazing if it ever happened. It's not totally likely. Everybody's got so many projects these days. That just came together. I mean, Nickel Creek was, I met them before their first record came out. Sean had written Let It Fall, and he wanted me to sing on it. And he met a guy who knew me at Four Corners Folk Festival, a mutual friend, John Moody's guitar tech there. And I had Toad the Wet Sprocket sticker on his guitar case. And Sean started talking Toad. And Sean was like, yeah, I got this song that I always thought I'd love to hear him sing, but I don't know how I'd ever reach him. And John's all like, oh, we're friends. I'll get it to him. And so that's how we met. And drove up. I'd been playing at Largo in L.A. Watkins Family's been going on. Watkins Family Hour has been going for 20 years now, which is crazy. So it was like right around 2000. They came up. I'd never met them before. They were still just kids. And they ended up sitting in on, they opened for them, and they sat in with 0 rehearsal on 8 songs in my set. And I'd never encountered anything like that in my entire life. And we ended up just being friends. And it's like, I just done this record with these, it was just like, hey, let's do a record in my garage, because you can. And it was all leftover songs. We recorded it, I think, in 2 days. We rehearsed for 1 day, recorded it in 2 days. It was total leftovers. But and it's mostly my songs because they're quicker study. I am. Yeah. So it was quicker to play my songs than me learn theirs.
Yeah.
So, but that'll probably never happen again. And then the WPA record was with Sean and Sarah. I love the WPA record. That was kind of a bit of an offshoot. It was a lot of the same people who were playing also with Watkins Family Hour with Greg Lee's been on Tench. And we had I'd met where is my mind? Pete Thomas. I met Pete Thomas, had him record on the Winter Pacer Summer album. We called it Pete, David Farragher for that. That was just an amazing experience. But once again, we weren't able to play a lot of shows for that. Sean and I need to do another project called WPA. Yeah. It was the 2 of us for the band. Sarah Mayer make guests on it or something. But I think WPA's we think of it as kind of our thing now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Mutual Admiration Society tour was the craziest thing ever as well, because they did Four Corners Folk Festival. They met, John Paul Jones, and he's like, hey, yeah, if you ever want to play together, just let me know. And we're like, need a bass player. Should we call JPJ? And Pete Thomas, have Pete Thomas come, have JPJ. Wouldn't that be amazing? And have these two gods as our rhythm section. And he said yes. He was commenting oh, I've never really been on a bus tour since the early 70s. We always and we would stay at Howard Johnson, because it was all I wish I could find this picture of him standing outside the bus looking up at the Howard Johnson sign what the fuck, what was I thinking? But he was the most gracious, wonderful guy. And he's such a musician's musician. And that was the thing. I think he just wanted to study with them and trade. And, we had a day, the story I always tell on that tour is, we had a day off in New York, and I saw a sheet music store right near the hotel. They all ran out of the bus and came back with these giant piles of sheet music, sonatas, classical, and they're just handing them back and forth and learning and sight reading and playing, and JBJ's such a music nerd, and he and Chris were just a match made in heaven for that, and so it was a crazy. I feel like I was not the big enough Led Zeppelin fan to have been at all worthy of that experience, but it was still pretty unbelievably wonderful. Total bucket list.
Well, good. Yeah, I can't imagine playing with him. That'd be pretty fun.
It was wild.
Scroll down here, make sure I'm asking everything I wanted to, but that's those are the main ones I had. I guess I kind of want to ask maybe a non-musical one, which is, what do you enjoy doing when you're not music, day-to-day life for Glen Phillips? What's that look like?
I mean, day-to-day, I really like music. Honestly, what I've been doing recently is trying to learn all my scales. I never learned how to play solo guitar.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing that too.
And doing the rudimentary,
yeah,
trying to get my pentatonic scales down, and
which is fun.
Patterns, so someday I can solo. I like to cook. Love seeing friends. Doing more of that very soon. Like running. I like hiking. Going to the beach. Yoga. Pretty simple stuff.
Well,
I like to read.
If you like hiking in the beach, you should come visit Juneau. We got a beach and hiking, so I'll even buy you a beer next time you come through town. So, I'd started writing a short story called about the 20 best road trip albums, but by me actually going and visiting the artists in them, and one of them was actually you, and I pictured you in your yard, barefoot, doing yoga overlooking the beach. And so it's kind of funny you just mentioned that those are kind of your hobbies.
That's pretty much how it is.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to go take my girlfriend. She teaches 8th grade English, but she also teaches yoga. We'll go down to a park on the mesa that overlooks the beach, and she's teaching.
Well, the last question I really had for you. I'm sorry, breaking up a little bit.
On yoga at the beach tonight.
Oh, good. Well, my story will be true then. Kind of the last question I had, and one I've always wondered was, how did performing barefoot come about? Do you still do that?
I often do. Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I do it just because I don't want the person in the front row just going, take off your shoes the whole time.
Yeah.
That really bugs me to death. The thing with the shoes, I don't know. I wore flip-flops a lot. It's comfortable, like that. Around the summer, I go barefoot a lot, and then on stage, part of it was just comfortable, and part of it was I'm such a klutz. I'm a really fisted guitar player. And I would never hit the right pedal, and I could feel better where my foot was if my shoes were off. So combination, just a little bit of hippie and a little bit of klutz.
That works. Well, hey, Glenn, I appreciate your time today. I mean, it sounds like we could keep talking for hours, but I know you got stuff to do. I appreciate your time. If there's any way you can send me maybe some pictures I can use for an article, otherwise I'll just find some fair use ones. But I can appreciate your time, and if you're ever in Juneau, I'm happy to show you around a little bit.
Thank you. I hope I can make it up.
Yeah. Well, good luck with the new record, and if I have any follow-up questions, I'll shoot you a message, but I think I'm okay.
Sounds awesome.
I have a lot of editing to do. Yeah, I appreciate it, Glenn.
All right, bye.
Have a good day.